And we're live.
All right, welcome back. So this week we have another great topic. This one's really good. It's like starting from the very beginning. We're talking about how to start training with your dog. So when you hear this, you might automatically think of like, oh, how to start, basic obedience training or training in general. But I want to take a step back and talk to you about some things to think about even before you get into training and kind of the process I try to take clients through, or if you're potentially to call me for dog training, kind of what it would look like if you did call me, because it's essentially the same process. But
Yeah.
before you look into training for your dog, there's a few things that you want to take in consideration. I always tell people sit down with your family first and have a discussion. Make sure everyone's on board with training. The biggest thing you could do for your dog to make training successful is to have the whole family on board with training and following all the commands correctly and making sure everyone wants to do the training and figure out who's going to do what. So just sit down and just have that conversation with your family. And of course, the conversation is going to be evolving as the dog starts to do more and stuff like that. But just make sure everyone has a thumbs up with training. Um, the next thing you want to do is just kind of figure out what kind of training are you looking for. And I always encourage people because, people call for group classes, people call for private training, some people want service dog training. So before you look and reach out for any type of training, think about what are your dog's needs. What do you want your dog to do? If you have a puppy, are you calling for basic obedience, or do you want to train your dog to be a service dog, or do you have any type of problematic issues where there's leash reactivity? And so, kind of jot down a list of all those behaviors that you're having, problem behaviors that you're having with your dog, and what you would like them to do, because essentially that's going to help you narrow down how to start training and what kind of trainer to look for, essentially. So jot down a few things that you want from the training, essentially. And just to kind of differentiate, because I do get a lot of calls and saying, hey, I want to take my dog to group class because they're barking. And then I go through the whole thing of like, okay, group class is maybe not the correct
Yeah.
place for your dog if they're barking. So just to kind of go through what in-home training provides and group classes provide, so you'll know which one is beneficial for your dog. So I always tell my clients or people that call me, if you're going to group classes and your dog has problems in home, like potty training, house training, and stuff like that, then you want to hold off on the group classes and do some type of in-home training, because you want to kind of deal with the problems that are happening in home.
Right.
Um, so if you want to do in-home training too, it's more so, a family thing, get everyone involved. The training can be customized. And it's more to get you that one-on-one with your dog and to build out a program to get you where you want to go, essentially, the entire family and the dog. And the group classes are great in addition to that, or in conjunction to, if you want your dog to be good around other dogs, or like I say, when you practice basic obedience, you want to practice it everywhere. So a lot of times my clients will start off with the in-home training, and then after they're done with that package, they'll do group classes, because that's an excellent way for them to get, used to playing with other dogs, and also doing the basic obedience, which most people want their dogs to be obedient around distraction. So just keep that in mind. Um, Another thing you want to do before you start training, of course, a lot of folks, they have issues in the home, and then it's like, I want to search for a trainer. You hop on Google, and at this point, if you're having issues with your dog, you already have that mindset like, I just need this to get fixed. So I
Right.
always encourage folks, don't wait till problems happen. Start, researching trainers now, so you can really take your time and get the trainer that you need, instead of just trying to get a trainer to solve the problem that you want. So essentially, when you are searching around for a trainer, remember, go back to that list where I had you write down about your dog's problem behaviors, training, stuff like that. And Google trainers near me, and or always talk to your friends first, or get recommendations from your family. But if not, good old Google is always our friend. And when you go through the list on Google, look and see what each trainer does. Look at the reviews, see what they help other people with. Of course, there's trainers that can do a little bit of everything. There's trainers that specialize like in puppies or leash reactivity. So you always want to make sure whatever training you get, or whatever training that you're going to do, that whatever class or person you get can actually help you with your specific needs. So that's going to be the most important. And far as when it comes down to getting started with training, some people want to do e-collar training. Some people want to do positive reinforcement. So there's various different types of training styles. So you want to do what works for you and your family. And I would say, far as positive reinforcement, that's always a great place to start because you're giving your dog rewards for doing great things. So before they get into any problem behaviors, try with positive reinforcement and rewarding them with things. And so that's always a good training style to start with. Um, and another thing you want to do to start training, so you got your list, you may have a trainer not, and a lot of people like to do it at home, but essentially to get started, you want to start off with some sort of basic obedience, but you always want to start off with some sort of socialization as well and handling your dog just to make sure they're okay and make sure they're good with being out and about, because that's when you get the dogs that are kind of reactive, lunging and stuff like that, when they're not as well socialized earlier on. And of course, basic obedience, you will always want to start there, no matter what type of training you want your dog to do, whether it's going to be agility training, you want your dog to be a service dog, or whatever it may be, all dogs start with basic obedience. So that's what you want to start with to get your dog started. Start off with some basic obedience training. And what that means is your dog will learn sit, down, leave it, come when called or recall, and loose leash walking. They'll learn those 5 commands, and that consists of basic obedience commands. And if you start your dog from there using positive reinforcement, whether it's with a trainer, whether you're doing it on your own, or whether you opt to go for classes first, that's always a great place to start. Did you do any of those things with Archie?
Yeah, we did like 5 levels of obedience and training and that sort of thing. So just to like in the training site, and then the last couple were like out in parks and everything, just to get more stimulation around them and sort of test them and all those different things.
Exactly. Yep. And so, really, as always, if you don't know where to start, you can always reach out to me. I'm always willing to walk you through. And one of the main things I like to do with families and people who call me for training is sit down with the families, really talk to them, get to the goals and what you want to do with your dog. And I always like to hear one thing about training that's going to be good for a lifetime, that's going to make it be more manageable, because sometimes when you think about dog training, like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff already going on in my life, how am I going to do this? But I really like to sit down with families and get your daily schedule so that I can make training part of your daily schedule, instead of, okay, well, I got to take time out of my day and do 10 or 15 minutes of that. So it's like, why can't you do sit stays while you're boiling water or making dinner? Or why can't you do some down stays while you're chopping up vegetables? So those are all the things that are going to make training a lifelong thing and manageable if you make it part of your schedule, and so that you'll want to do it for a lifetime, because training is a lifetime thing. It's just a lot easier once they are kind of on the right track. It's not as so consistent and rigid, if that makes sense. So so I hope you gain some good tips as it gets getting started. So again, sit down with your family, make a list of your goals and what you want. Decide whether you want to do in-home or private training. You can start some positive reinforcement and basic obedience. You can take some group classes. And as always, if you need help, you can reach out to myself. I'm always around. And then we can kind of work through what you're looking for as far as your dog and your family. Scott, do you have anything to piggyback off of? Anything to say?
Especially if you have different questions as you list down those different topics. We've done, I think, close to 50 different lives. So, and there's blog posts on the Down for Paws website for all of those. So if you are looking to just get like a quick taste on how you can help different things that are going on with your dog, you can always hop over to downforpaws.com, check out the blog. And there's tons of stuff there that you can dive into.
Tons of information.
Just to give you, see what's going on there, but especially really just like Pam said, see how you can make it more sustainable for a lifetime, because then you're setting yourself up for success. And it does take the whole family to buy in usually, because same with the kid, you can't be telling them like the different things and having, different people, because just like a kid, they will learn who they can
get over on who they can't. Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yep. So I hope you guys got some good tools and tips. Other than that, I will see you next week, and enjoy your week and your weekend. Bye.